Illustrator has quite a number of panels, and if you ever lose one, can't find it, this is where they belong, up in the window menu. And you can see that as I scroll down there are quite a few to be had. Broadly speaking, I like to think of 4 different categories of panel. Now, there's some variation in that because some of the newer panels do things that aren't in my little list here, but essentially, the groups that I have in my mind are panels that execute commands or perform modifications. So the examples I've got here are the stroke panel and the align panel. So the stroke panel allows you to change the weight or size of a stroke applied to an object and some other characteristics as well. The align panel allows you to get a pair or more of objects and align them in some way. So it's executing those particular commands, change the stroke weight or change the alignment of these things. Other panels, such as the swatches panel and the brushes panel, they're kind of libraries. They store things. So here, as you can see, swatches, brushes, symbols, and their characteristic is slightly different to the other panels in that they have this small icon down at the bottom left, and that's a loader. Now, to give you a bit more detail on that, what I'm going to do is come over to the right-hand side of my screen here, and I'm going to open the swatches panel like so, and I'll make that just a little bit larger by dragging that down. So these are a bunch of different swatches that I can use to apply colors and gradients and patterns to different objects in Illustrator. And down at the bottom here, if I click on that loader, it allows me to access several other different libraries and even other documents to get their swatches from them as well. So that's what I mean by it being a storage panel. And if I go to brushes, same thing just here, then I can access different brushes and symbols and so on. I can access all of those things. So the asset export panel is a prime example of panels that create things. It's a fairly new panel. It's only been in Illustrator for about a year or so, but this is one that allows you to create different raster and SVG elements. So that's things based on pixels or scalable vector graphic elements for use in other applications and websites. So in that way, it is a creator. And then we have some management panels. So layers, for example, managing layers, as we've got a whole chapter on layers coming up shortly, and you'll find out more about management there. And artboards, which are in another separate chapter, which you'll find out more about. But their primary job are to manage those things. So managing layers and managing artboards. So those are the 4 broad categories that I have, but most panels also exhibit some other behaviors. So I'm just going to open another panel just here, the color guide panel, which doesn't actually fit into my exact formula there. I would say that it's more of a kind of creation panel because it creates color themes for you and more besides, which we'll investigate later on. But these are the characteristics I want to point out to you. So this small widget at the top here in the tab, if I click on that, you'll see it changes the panel. It's now only showing me the essential parts of the top. If I click on it again, then it expands a little bit more. And some panels, when you click on that, either make the panel disappear or they'll actually introduce a third state, which shows options. If you do see any of the panels in this course and they look slightly different to yours, and I'm not talking about the contents of them, but you maybe can't see some of the options, then the place to go is the flyout menu, and that's always on the top right hand side and looks like a series of horizontal lines. And when you click that, you'll get access to this menu. And you can see here that the options are showing for this panel. And if I choose to hide them, then they disappear and show them like so. But that can be achieved where there are options by clicking these small arrows just here. So there you are. We will investigate some panels on this Essentials course as we move on, and that's perhaps the best way to do it. But that's your basic overview of the panels in Illustrator.